Hello, everyone in Social Work 668. Welcome to week 5. And my intention for this class is for you to all get ready to finalize your needs assessment assignment by learning a little bit more about qualitative data analysis. So I'm going to share my screen for this week, and we are going to get into it in terms of coding qualitative data for program evaluation. So for all of you who watched last week's video, which is I hope is 100%, this is really a continuation of first cycle coding. So last week we learned about some preliminary data analysis techniques. And this week we are going to go through and learn more about secondary data analysis. So we learned how to code, and now we're looking towards how to generate themes or thematic analysis, which is going to plug into our needs assessment assignment for section 4, which is where we ask you to generate themes from your 3 qualitative interviews with participants for your needs assessment. And then we're going to think about section 4, which is getting you to think about our finding sections, which really is our implications for practice and helping us to develop our program, which we are going to use in the next 2 assignments, which are our logic model and our program evaluation. So let's begin. So again, this is a continuation from last week. Just a friendly reminder that our soft chalk lesson from last week is going to be the exact same. So it's going to be worth 0 points. However, we have a journal entry this week that is worth 5 points. And pro tip, this is actually linked to section 4 of your needs assessment assignment, which is your themes section. So please do not reinvent the wheel. My intention for this week's assignment is for you to complete it early and for me to be able to give you feedback so then you can place this section within your needs assessment assignment. So please do not reinvent the wheel. Do not worry about plagiarizing yourself. This is intended so I can really see your first draft, and then you can refine it based on my feedback and then place it in your needs assessment assignment for section 4, the theme section. So we are to, for this week's journal entry, identify at least 3 themes from your interviews. We're going to learn how to do that today. In order to accomplish this task, you will need to review the recordings of your interviews you conducted and take notes. Using these notes, apply techniques and strategies from this class, from qualitative data analysis and last week, to identify 3 major themes. Identify these themes and provide supporting documentation. So what do I mean when I say supporting documentation? Supporting documentation actually means your interview data. So direct quotes, your participants' very words. So one change I'd like to make, or just something to tune you into, is that I've given you an example needs assessment assignment from previous years. I would say that assignment is darn near perfect, but one thing that I would change is that person who wrote that assignment, that student, did not give any exemplar quotes. So I'm asking you to do that for this assignment. So we're going to talk a little bit today about how we ground our themes in data through participants' direct quotes. So again, we are going to be referencing the same books, which you do not need to purchase: Johnny Saldana's Coding Manual for Qualitative Researchers and Miles and Huberman and Saldana's Qualitative Data Analysis Sourcebook, which is great for data matrices, which we're going to learn about today. So just to tie this back into last week, week 4, we first did some data reduction strategies. That's what we focused on. So we focused on learning coding, or first cycle coding techniques. This week, we're going to look at data displays and conclusion drawing and verification. So that's really considered to be second cycle coding strategies. So we're going to cover those 2 today. Okay, so first, let's talk about data displays. So this is really creating data matrices. That is one method of doing second cycle coding. It is not the only method. And in fact, I also want to offer you some creativity to be able to organize your codes and themes beyond this presentation, because qualitative data analysis often links onto our own personal creativity and organization and indexing and categorization techniques that we each have in our own beautiful brains. So for those of you who need some strategies, using data matrices to summarize and analyze can be really helpful. So what are data matrices? They help the evaluator summarize and analyze qualitative data in tables and columns. You can do this in Excel, you can do this in Microsoft Word, but just visualize a table with rows and columns. And this allows for both cross-case analysis as well as sorting data by theme. And I'm going to show you a demonstration of this in a minute. So the individual cases are sorted by row. So you essentially have participant A, participant B, participant C, and you can give them all code names. And then the themes in which the data have been coded occupy the column. So you can, once you've sorted your codes and you've clustered them together into themes, then the themes can be, theme A, theme B, theme C across the column top. At each intersecting cell, the source of information is summarized as it relates to the intersecting case or theme. So that's where you put your information showing how each participant responded to each corresponding theme, A through C. So what does this look like? So this is from a program evaluation, and they were looking at how to further engage volunteers. So when we look at volunteer experiences, what we do is we have Anna, Frederick, Bernadette across 1, 2, and 3. And then those are our rows. And then our columns are experiences of volunteers, impact of volunteers, and meanings of volunteering. Those are the 3 themes that they are playing with. So you can see that within each cell is information, which I have sort of blown up here in number 3, to show that, okay, this is what Anna thought about experiences of volunteers. And here is the corresponding data, meaning Anna's very words, to support our finding of experiences of volunteers. So I'm going to put this entire slideshow in our weekly content area for the course. So it will be available to you to look closer at this. But this is just an example of one way to do a data matrix. So data matrices tend to have several elements. So we just saw an example of a data matrix, and what it does is it summarizes and shows links between cases and themes. So again, the rows are organized by case, the columns are the themes, the associated view is the node containing references to coded material. And so that is our participants' very words, i.e. our data, our raw data. So step 3 is the final step. And this is where we're looking at conclusion drawing and verification. And this involves, organizing our codes and themes, and often looks at diagramming. So I want you to really link this section, not only to section 4 of thematic development, but also think how it relates to section 5 of your assignment, which is really your rendering of your findings. So thinking about how am I using the findings from this needs assessment to be able to create a program for this organization that is grounded in the needs of our participant population. So this is where we take it more to the practical level. So a way we can do that is one way is called code landscaping. And this is where we pull out keywords. And I love this wordle.net because you can literally upload your interview transcripts or notes into it, and it pulls out the most frequently used words. So let's say your participants are repeating words and words over and over again that are actually linked to their needs. You can see something about frequency within these codes. So that's just one way to look at when you get stuck, like what words are my participants repeating over and over again? And Wordle is a great free reference to be able to do that. The second is code landscaping. So let's say you take so in Wordle, your most frequently used words are the biggest words in terms of diagramming or in visualization. So let's say your biggest word is friendship, and then you kind of organize your words in Wordle or in your word cloud within a landscape. So you can see themes, major themes, sub-themes. You can organize them to see how it all fits together. I also really like to have a notepad, a pen and paper next to me because I love drawing out my qualitative data analysis and diagramming my themes and linking codes to them. So you can then take your landscaped codes. So let's say one of your major themes is lifelong living and loving. And you then can try to use your landscaped codes and fill in using two things. You're first going to want to give a code definition. So let's say the theme that we came up with was lifelong living and loving. We are then going to try to define what does that theme mean in the viewpoint of your participants. And then we're going to try to ground it in data with your participants' very words. So what words, what exemplar quotes can we link to this code or this theme and its definition? So just another way to think about this. I also want to attune you to some really great free resources on the internet. I really love the work of Jennifer Lyons and Stephanie Evergreen. They are not in the academy, they are actually consultants for a lot of corporations that do different qualitative data analysis and develop different types of programs. Most recently, they've been working actually a lot with the CDC on COVID-related information and how to try to visualize this for the masses or for various audience members. So they have this really great mechanism called the Qualitative Chart Chooser, and I'm going to link this in our weekly course content for this week at the end. It is one of our steps, and it actually shows you how you can use these different data visualization tools to be able to get the point across from your qualitative data. So if you let's say your data is showing a hierarchy, a flow, a comparison, a cluster, they kind of give you an examples. Maybe you need a network map, maybe you need a journey map, maybe you need icons with color or a spectrum display. So it just gives you some options in case you want to visualize your data. Just bear in mind, visualizing your data is not a requirement for the needs assessment assignment. It's just, let's say if you want to attach an additional appendix, if this helps you be able to generate themes, then go for it. So again, here is a link for more examples of data visualization with their work. So now what? This is time for the qualitative process known as reflexivity of the program evaluator. You want to sort of step back from your analysis and say, okay, I have my themes, I have my participants, I've laid this all out, I've done all the analysis strategies. What have I gotten right? Did I learn anything new? What's the big picture? What do I write about in my needs assessment? And also thinking about implications for social work practice and implementation and creation of a program. So we want to think about analytic outcomes. So we want to think about, once we've applied our first cycle methods, which is our coding, then we've looked at our second cycle methods, which are related to thematic development, our more abstract thinking, our data visualization, our data matrix creation. You should have one of several. So you should either have major categories, major themes, you should have your diagrams, concepts, primary narratives, etc. And so what are we looking for when we develop our categories, themes, or assertions? So here is a list. This can be vast because it really depends on the projects and your analytic goals and the aims of your program evaluation or your needs assessment in this case. So we want to look at perceptions of, perspectives about needs, experiences of having a need that's gone unfulfilled, attitudes towards needs at an organization, beliefs about that need, and so on and so forth. We can look at limitations of the current program, previous interventions that might not have worked or might have created more needs or needs that still remain. So just sort of think about some of these things and try to plug them into your interview data, which you should have already collected by now. I quickly want to introduce you to the idea of Cactus. So Cactus is an acronym for Computer Assisted Qualitative Data Analysis. So this is software. This is not a requirement of this course. This is just something for your future reference. And if any of you decide to become professional program evaluators, right? Or do this as your job. So there is a vast world of software out there. Some of it you have to pay a subscription for, some of it is free. And it also helps you do some of these data analysis strategies. So just to put that on your radar. Lastly, I want to touch a little bit about rigor. So what is qualitative rigor and what does it look like compared to quantitative rigor, which we are going to go over later on in the semester when we get into some quantitative data analysis techniques and some statistical data analysis in a few weeks. So we're focusing now on qualitative data analysis. And so the RAND Corporation is a national and global research firm, think tank that works across all different sectors, academia, government, contracts, etc. And I really like this quote from Jerry R. Ryan from the RAND Corporation, who says, "We need to avoid confusing research rigor with concepts such as measurement precision, quantification, and generalizability." So those are typically linked to quantitative rigor. Qualitative rigor is different. These latter concepts are choices that must be made by each investigator in determining how to best meet his or her research objectives and are not something that should be inherently desired in and of itself. So we should not be aiming towards those quantitative, rigorous techniques. Second, we need to be cautious about making claims that some data collection and analysis techniques are more rigorous than others. If techniques are tools in a researcher's toolbox, then this is like saying a saw is better than a hammer because it is sharper. So I just want to tell you this, that often rigor is evaluated based on criteria from a quantitative world. And us as qualitative researchers don't subscribe to the same standards of rigor. Our rigor is different. So today you learned about how to do some rigorous qualitative data analysis through using first cycle and second cycle coding strategies. So next week is super busy. To just give you a preview, we are going to get into logic models, which is so much fun. We're going to actually, customize each of your logic models based on the program that you are generating, which is linked to the needs that you discovered through your needs assessment. Our needs assessment assignment is due next week. So we have one assignment in the can, and we are moving forward through this course. Just remember to stay positive, work hard, and make it happen. And I am here if you have any questions, and I hope you all have a really great week. Take care. Bye.